You've been walking for hours. The road is mud disguised as a road. Your boots have officially surrendered. Rain drips from the brim of your hood, and the last thing you ate was something you found wrapped in a leaf 3 villages back. What you need is simple. A drink, a fire, a place to sit where the wind doesn't reach. But this isn't your world. There are no glowing signs, no Yelp reviews, no apps telling you what's open. Just narrow streets that all look the same, buildings leaning like they're drunk themselves, and the distant sound of something that might be laughter or might be a fight. So how do you find a tavern in the Middle Ages? Simple. You follow your ears. Past the blacksmith. Past the woman selling eels that definitely should have sold yesterday. Until the noise gets louder. Shouting, singing, someone arguing with such passion, it could be politics or could be about a goat. And there it is. A crooked building with a sign so faded you can't tell if it's a barrel or a bear. The door is heavy. The step is slick. And the moment you push it open, warm air hits your face like a drunken handshake. Smoke, sweat, ale. Something roasting. Something burning. You've just entered a medieval tavern. But here's the thing. You have no idea what you've walked into. Who runs this place? What are you about to drink? And why is everyone staring? Before we step inside, hit that like button and subscribe. Because trust me, by the time this night is over, you're going to want to remember how to get out. Let's go. The heavy door swings shut behind you, and just like that, the outside world ceases to exist. The rain, the mud, the cart that nearly ran you over twice, all of it vanishes the moment the oak slams against its frame. What replaces it is something else entirely. Darkness. Not the kind you're used to, where streetlights or phone screens offer a quick escape. This is medieval darkness. Thick. Absolute. The kind that makes you stand perfectly still for a moment, not because you want to, but because moving feels like a gamble. Your eyes need time. And time in here moves slow. Slowly, shapes begin to emerge from the gloom. A flame flickers somewhere ahead, casting just enough light to remind you how little you can actually see. The ceiling hangs low above you, beams blackened by decades of smoke, so low that somewhere in this room a tall man has already learned the hard way and is now nursing a mug and a fresh bruise in silence. The walls tilt slightly, not from poor construction, but from age, from the ground settling under centuries of boots and benches and bodies. This building has been here longer than anyone alive can remember, and it feels like it remembers everything. Then the smell hits you. Let's be honest about this. A medieval tavern does not smell like a craft brewery with Edison bulbs and a chalkboard menu. It smells like survival. The top notes are ale, warm and sour, spilled so many times into the rushes on the floor that the straw itself has started to ferment. Beneath that, smoke. Not the pleasant kind from a well-built hearth, but the kind that finds its way into your clothes, your hair, your lungs, and stays there for days. And underneath all of it, something else. Sweat. Bodies. Wet wool drying too slowly. Meat roasting somewhere in the back. Meat that might be rabbit or might be something you don't want to name. The combination hits you like a wall. You breathe through your mouth and tell yourself you'll get used to it. You won't. Not really. But by morning, you'll stop noticing. That's its own kind of terrifying. As your vision adjusts, you start to piece together the room. It's not one space so much as a collection of smaller moments happening simultaneously. Over there, near the hearth, a group of men crowd around the fire, their faces illuminated in orange bursts, steam rising from their cloaks as they dry. One of them laughs so hard he chokes on his ale. No one helps. That's not how this works. Across from them, a woman sits alone at a crooked table, running a finger around the rim of her mug, watching the door. She catches you looking and holds your gaze just long enough to make a point. Then she looks away. You've been noted, filed, judged. You're not sure if that's good or bad. Probably both. And then there are the shadows, the corners where the firelight doesn't reach. You can hear them before you see them, low murmurs, the clink of coins, a cough that sounds wet and probably means something you don't want to catch. People sit in those shadows for a reason. They don't want to be seen. Maybe they're traveling under a false name. Maybe they're hiding from someone. Maybe they just lost everything in a dice game last week and haven't told their wife yet. You don't ask. In a medieval tavern, asking questions is its own form of gambling, and the house always wins. The floor beneath your feet is dirt, packed hard by years of traffic, but dirt nonetheless. The straw scattered across it tries to pretend otherwise, but straw is a liar. It's soaked with ale in some spots, mud in others, and in a few places, things you genuinely cannot identify. You learn quickly where to step and where to avoid. One wrong move, and your foot sinks into something that squelches in a way that will haunt you later. You move carefully, deliberately, like a man crossing a frozen river in early spring. Somewhere in the back, a door creaks open, just for a second, just enough for a slice of candlelight to cut through the gloom and reveal a staircase, narrow and steep, leading up to rooms you can't see. A hand reaches out, pulls the door shut. The moment passes. But you noticed. Everyone noticed. That staircase leads to places where travelers sleep, where coin changes hands for reasons beyond ale, where the tavern keeper's daughter might be hiding from her father or meeting someone she shouldn't. It's a door that asks questions you're not ready to answer. A dog wanders past your feet, ribs showing through patchy fur, one eye clouded white with age. It sniffs your boot, decides you're not interesting, and disappears under a table where someone's dropped half a loaf of bread. The dog knows this place better than you ever will. It's been here longer, it's seen more, and unlike you, it's not pretending to understand the rules. You stand there, just inside the door, taking it all in. The noise is rising now, voices layering over each other like instruments warming up before a song. An argument breaks out near the bar. Something about a chicken and who paid for it. It won't last. Nothing here lasts except the rhythm. The rhythm of mugs clanking, of benches scraping, of laughter that sounds like violence and violence that sounds like laughter. You're not a customer here. Not yet. Right now, you're just an observer, standing on the threshold between the world you know and the world inside. And the longer you stand, the more you realize that threshold is thinner than you thought. Take a breath. Hold it, then let it go. Because the next step forward means leaving the door behind. It means finding a seat, ordering a drink, becoming part of the noise. And somewhere in this room, on a bench that wobbles against a table scarred with generations of knives and initials, there's a spot with your name on it. You just have to find it, and hope whoever left it didn't leave it for a reason. You find your footing, pick a direction, and start moving. The crowd parts just enough to let you through, not out of courtesy, but because everyone here is too absorbed in their own business to notice a stranger picking through the dark. You weave past a table where two men argue over dice with the kind of intensity usually reserved for matters of life and death. Past a woman who laughs at something you can't hear, her head thrown back, her teeth catching the firelight. Past a dog that doesn't move, forcing you to step over it like an obstacle in a game you didn't know you were playing. And then you see them. The tavern keeper. And suddenly, everything else fades into background noise. They stand behind what passes for a bar in this place. A thick wooden plank balanced across two barrels, sagging in the middle from decades of elbows and mugs and the occasional fist. Behind that plank, the tavern keeper rules. Not with a crown or a scepter, but with a look that could curdle milk at 20 paces. This is a person who has seen everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the things that fall somewhere in between. They've watched lovers meet in secret and leave in anger. They've watched fortunes change hands on the roll of a single die. They've cleaned blood out of the rushes before breakfast and never mentioned it to anyone. And they've done it all without ever quite smiling. If the tavern keeper is a man, he's built like the barrel he leans against. Thick arms, thicker neck, a face that looks like it was carved from oak and then left in the rain. His beard has bits of something in it that you don't want to identify. His apron was white once, possibly before you were born. He moves with the efficiency of someone who has done this same dance 10,000 nights in a row, pouring ale, collecting coins, grunting responses to questions he's answered since before most of his customers could walk. If the tavern keeper is a woman, and in many medieval taverns she is, She's something else entirely. Sharp, quick, a knife wrapped in an apron. She sees everything without seeming to look, knows everyone's name, their business, their tab, and their weaknesses. She can flirt with a farmer, intimidate a soldier, and silence a room full of drunkards with a single raised eyebrow. The men who mistake her kindness for weakness don't usually make the same mistake twice. Some of them don't make any mistakes ever again, at least not in this tavern. You approach the bar, and those eyes land on you. Assessment time. Friend or foe. Trouble or customer. Rich or pretending. You feel like a specimen under glass, examined and catalogued in the space of a heartbeat. Then the tavern keeper nods. Just once. Just enough. You've been approved. Tentatively. Conditionally. You order a drink, and the mug appears before you finish asking. Ale, warm and cloudy, with something floating on top that you pretend not to see. You pay, and the coins disappear into a pouch that never seems to get full. You're in. But you're also being watched. And here's the thing about the tavern keeper that nobody tells you. They remember everything. Every face, every tab, every fight, every promise. If you come back tomorrow, they'll know what you drank, who you sat with, and whether you tipped the barmaid or just stared at her. If you caused trouble tonight, they'll remember that too. Not with a grudge exactly, but with a watchfulness that feels worse. Because in a world without cameras or contracts or courts that care about tavern disputes, the keeper's memory is the law. Their word is the final word. Cross them, and suddenly every mug in the house is empty when you reach for it. Every seat is taken when you try to sit. Every conversation stops when you walk near. The tavern doesn't need to ban you. They just need to make you wish you'd never walked through that door. There are rumors, of course. There are always rumors. That the keeper used to be a soldier. That they came into this place after a husband died under mysterious circumstances. That they know things about the local lord that keep the tax collectors away. That the back room isn't for storage at all, but for conversations that happen after midnight. Conversations that involve maps and names and promises sealed with something stronger than ale. Nobody asks. Asking is how rumors become facts, and facts become problems. You just drink your ale and watch and wonder. The keeper catches you staring, just for a second, long enough to raise one eyebrow. You look away, find a spot on the wall to examine like it's the most interesting thing you've ever seen. When you look back, they're already focused on someone else, some new arrival at the other end of the bar. But you know you're in their file now, stored away for future reference. It's not threatening exactly, it's just present. A reminder that in this place, at this moment, you are not anonymous, you are seen. And in a medieval tavern, being seen is both a comfort and a warning. Because the people who see you are also the people who will remember which way you left, who you left with, and whether you paid your tab before you disappeared into the night. The keeper gestures toward an empty bench near the hearth, not with words. Just a tilt of the head. You nod, grab your mug, and move. Behind you, the noise swells again. The argument about the chicken has somehow escalated to include a goat and someone's mother. The dice players are still at it, one of them now down to his last few coins and looking desperate. The woman by the fire catches your eye again, just for a moment, then looks away. And the keeper watches it all, the center of the storm, the still point in a turning world. You find your seat, sink onto the bench, and finally let yourself breathe. You've made it. You've been judged. You've been placed. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're already thinking about what you'll have to do to make sure that judgment stays in your favor. Because in here, the keeper's approval isn't just nice to have, it's everything. And you have a feeling that before this night is over, you're going to need it. The bench creaks beneath you, settling into the packed dirt floor with a groan that sounds almost human. You've made it. You're sitting. For a moment, you just breathe, letting the warmth from the hearth wash over your face, and wondering how long it'll take for the smoke in your lungs to stop burning. But you didn't come here to breathe. You came here to drink. And as if reading your mind, a clay mug appears in front of you, placed there by a hand, attached to an arm, attached to a person who's already vanished back into the crowd before you can even say thank you. This is service medieval style. Fast, efficient, and deeply uninterested in your gratitude. You wrap your hands around the mug. It's warm. Not cellar cool, not refrigerated, just warm. The same temperature as the room, which means the same temperature as everything else in here. The clay is rough beneath your fingers, chipped at the rim, stained dark from years of use. You look inside. The ale is cloudy, the color of old straw, and something is floating near the surface. A bit of grain, probably. Probably. You tell yourself it's grain. You lift the mug, and the smell hits you. Sour, earthy, alive. This isn't beer the way you know beer. This is something older, something closer to bread that decided to keep fermenting out of pure stubbornness. Medieval ale has no hops, no carbonation, no cold storage. It's just grain, water, and time, left to do what grain and water do when you leave them alone too long. The result is thick, murky, and utterly unlike anything you'd order at a bar back home. But here's the thing about medieval ale. It's safe. Not safe in the way that modern food safety is safe. Safe in the way that boiling water is safe, except nobody here boils water because fuel costs money and time and effort. The ale, though, the ale has been through fermentation. And fermentation kills things. Not all things, not perfectly, but enough. Enough that generations of medieval people have drunk ale from the moment they could hold a mug, children included, because the alternative was water straight from the river or the well, and that water carried death in ways that ale simply didn't. So you drink. Not for the buzz, though that helps. You drink to survive. You take a sip. It's sour on the front, then bitter on the sides, then something else entirely at the back that you can't quite name. Grainy, chewy almost. This is ale that hasn't been filtered, clarified, or treated with any of the processes that modern drinkers take for granted. It's ale that still remembers being barley. You swallow, and it goes down warm, leaving a trail behind it that feels like it might linger for hours. The floating thing, whatever it was, is gone now, down the hatch. You try not to think about it. Around you, everyone else is drinking the same thing. The farmer with the endless cow story. The soldier with the imaginary dragon. The woman by the fire who keeps glancing your way and then looking off into the shadows like she's waiting for someone. They all have mugs. They all drink the same murky brew. And none of them seem to notice the floaties. Because in here, floaties aren't a defect. They're a feature. Proof that this ale was made by human hands, in a human kitchen, from human ingredients. Proof that it's real. You take another sip. It's growing on you. If you're lucky, if the tavern keeper likes you, or you've got coin to spare, there might be other options. Cider, maybe, pressed from apples that fell last autumn and stored in barrels that have held cider since before you were born. Sharp, tangy, with a kick that sneaks up on you. Or mead, if the tavern has a beekeeper nearby or a supplier who passes through twice a year. Mead tastes like honey and regret in equal measure, sweet on the tongue and heavy in the head. Some taverns water it down. Others don't. You learn quickly to ask which kind you're getting before you order a second mug. Wine exists, technically, but wine in a medieval tavern is a gamble. If you're near the coast, near a trading route, near a town that sees merchants from warmer climates, you might get something drinkable. If you're inland, if you're rural, if you're anywhere that isn't constantly visited by ships from France or Italy, you're getting vinegar. Vinegar with pretensions. Vinegar that someone has tried to fix with honey or spices or plain hope. You order wine in a place like this only if you're feeling brave or stupid, often both. And then there's the water. You could ask for water. The tavern keeper would bring it. But you've seen the river outside. You've smelled the well near the market. You know, somewhere deep in your gut, that water from those sources is a gift you don't want to open. So you stick with ale. Cloudy, warm, floating with things you'd rather not identify. You drink, and you watch, and you let the warmth spread through your chest and loosen something in your shoulders. This is what they came for. This is why the tavern exists. Not for the food, not for the fire, but for this moment, this mug, this brief forgetting of the cold and the mud and the long road behind you. You drain the last of it, and before you can even set the mug down, a hand appears to take it away. Another mug takes its place. You didn't order another. You didn't even nod. But here it is, warm and cloudy and waiting. You look toward the bar, and the tavern keeper meets your eyes. Just for a second. Just long enough. Then they're looking elsewhere, already focused on the next customer, the next pour, the next moment in a night that stretches endlessly ahead. You wrap your hands around the fresh mug. And you realize, with something like wonder, that you're starting to like it. The taste, the warmth, the way the room feels a little softer now than it did when you walked in. You take a sip. The night is young. And somewhere in the crowd, someone is about to do something that will make this evening unforgettable. You just don't know it yet. The second mug goes down easier than the first. By the time you set it back on the table, the room has changed. Not the room itself. The room is still the same chaos of smoke and shadow and crooked furniture, but your relationship to it has shifted. The edges feel softer. The noise feels less like an assault and more like a rhythm. You're not just in the tavern anymore, you're part of it. And that means it's time to look around and really see who you're sharing this space with. Start with the farmer 3 tables over. The one who's been talking non-stop since you walked in. He's red-faced, not from drink alone, but from a lifetime of outdoor work and outdoor weather and outdoor everything. His hands are the size of shovels, wrapped around a mug that looks like a toy in his grip. He's telling the same story he's told 100 times before, about the time his cow gave birth to twins and one of them walked out already dancing. It's not a true story. Everyone knows it's not a true story. But they listen anyway, or at least they nod along, because the farmer is harmless and loud and occasionally buys a round when his story gets a laugh. He catches your eye and raises his mug. You raise yours back. You're friends now. At least for tonight. Near the hearth, the soldier holds court. He's younger than his voice suggests, early 20s maybe, but already carrying himself like a man who's seen things. His armor is battered, dented in places that suggest actual combat rather than parade ground practice. He's telling a group of wide-eyed listeners about a battle last spring, a skirmish with some raiders from the north, and somewhere in the telling, a dragon appears. Nobody points out that there are no dragons in the north. Nobody mentions that dragons don't exist at all, because that's not the point. The point is, the story, the way it swells and crests, the way the soldier's voice drops low during the dangerous parts and rises during the victories. The point is that for a few minutes, everyone at that table is somewhere else, fighting something else, winning something else. The soldier drinks, and they drink with him, and the dragon becomes real through sheer collective will. At the table nearest the stairs, 2 men play dice. They've been at it for hours, judging by the pile of coins in front of one and the empty space in front of the other. The loser is trying to look relaxed, trying to smile like he's having fun, but his jaw is tight and his eyes keep darting toward the door. The winner is smoother, older. He rolls the dice with a practiced flick, catches them, reads them, announces the result before anyone else can see. Is he cheating? Probably. Definitely. The loser knows it too. You can see it in the way he watches the older man's hands, the way he hesitates before each bet. But he doesn't say anything. Because in here, calling out a cheater means backing it up. And the older man has friends at the bar. Friends who aren't playing but are watching. Friends who smile a certain way when the dice come up lucky. The loser will lose everything tonight, or he'll leave with his pride and an empty purse, or he'll snap and do something stupid that gets him thrown out into the mud. Either way, it's entertainment. Either way, the tavern wins. Your eyes drift to the corner, the darkest corner, the one where the firelight barely reaches. A figure sits there, hood up, face hidden, nursing a single mug that never seems to empty. Could be a merchant avoiding attention. Could be a messenger carrying news someone doesn't want delivered. Could be a woman disguised as a man, or a man disguised as a monk or a thief, counting the coins in every purse within sight. The figure doesn't move, doesn't look up, just sits and sips and waits. You feel a chill that has nothing to do with the draft from the door. Some questions, you realize, are better left unasked. Some mysteries are safer as mysteries. You look away. The woman by the fire catches your eye again. She's shifted position since you last noticed her. Closer now. Her bench angled just enough that she could talk to you if she wanted. She's not young, not old, somewhere in between, with dark hair pulled back and eyes that have spent years learning how to read a room. She's not wearing the rough clothes of the farm women or the plain wool of the merchants' wives. Her dress is finer, darker, cut in a way that suggests cities you've never visited. She smiles. Just a little. Just enough. Then she looks back at the fire, and you're left wondering if you imagined it. A barmaid weaves through the crowd, dodging elbows and outstretched hands with the grace of someone who's done this since she could walk. She's carrying 4 mugs at once, stacked somehow, balanced somehow, and not a drop spills. A hand reaches for her as she passes. She slaps it away without breaking stride, without changing expression, without even looking at the man whose hand it was. He laughs, embarrassed, and his friends laugh with him, but they all watch her go. Everyone watches her go. She's a reminder that in here, beauty and danger walk the same path, and you never know which one you're dealing with until it's too late. Near the door, a group of travelers huddle together, newly arrived, still dripping from the rain. They look around with the same wide eyes you had an hour ago. The tavern notices them, assesses them, finds them wanting or worthy. It's too early to tell. The farmer pauses his story to size them up. The soldier glances over, then back to his dragon. The dice players don't look at all, too absorbed in their game. But the woman by the fire watches. Her eyes flick from traveler to traveler, cataloguing, calculating. Then she looks at you. And for just a moment, you're connected, you and her, 2 people in a crowded room who see more than they show. Then she looks away, and the moment passes. The noise swells again. Someone starts singing, a song you don't recognize, and others join in. Their voices rough and ragged and somehow beautiful. The dog under the table shifts, dreaming of whatever dogs dream about. The fire pops, sending sparks toward the chimney that may or may not be working. And you sit there, mug in hand, surrounded by strangers who feel less like strangers with every passing minute. The night is moving, the tavern is breathing, and somewhere in the crowd, the story is just beginning to take shape. You don't know it yet, but you're part of it now. Part of whatever happens next, part of whatever goes wrong or right or somewhere in between. The woman by the fire catches your eye one more time. This time, she doesn't look away, and neither do you. She holds your gaze across the crowded room. The firelight catches the edge of her face, shadows pooling in the hollow of her throat, and for a moment the noise of the tavern fades to something distant, something unimportant. Then she looks away, just a fraction, just enough to break the spell, and you're left holding your mug and wondering what just happened. You'll find out soon enough, because in a medieval tavern, eye contact isn't casual. It's conversation. It's negotiation. It's the opening move in a game where the rules are written in glances and the stakes are written in silence. Before you can decide what to do about her, the room shifts. The dice players, the ones who've been at it for hours, finally reach their breaking point. The younger one, the one who's been losing all night, stands up so fast his bench scrapes backward and nearly tips. His face is flushed, his fists are clenched, and he's staring at the older man with an expression that promises violence. The older man doesn't stand, doesn't flinch. Just looks up with something like amusement, something like warning, and sets his mug down very, very carefully. The whole tavern notices. Conversations don't stop exactly, but they soften, waiting. The farmer pauses mid-story. The soldier's dragon vanishes mid-sentence. Even the bard's strumming falters for just a heartbeat. Everyone is watching now. Everyone is waiting to see which way this goes. The younger man says something, low and rough, too quiet to hear, but loud enough to understand. Accusation. Threat. The kind of words that can't be taken back once they're out. The older man smiles. It's not a nice smile. It's the smile of someone who knows something you don't, who's been here before, who's already 3 moves ahead in a game the younger man just realized they're playing. He stands slowly, deliberately, letting the moment stretch. His friends at the bar set down their mugs. Not standing, not yet. Just ready. The younger man sees them. You see him, see them. The calculation plays out across his face in real time, anger warring with caution, pride wrestling survival. For a long, terrible second, you're not sure which will win. Then the tavern keeper's voice cuts through the tension like a blade. Just one word, just a name. The older man's name, you realize, though you don't catch it, but the effect is immediate. The smile disappears. The friends look away. The older man sits back down, reaches for his mug, and doesn't look at the younger man again. The younger man stands there for a moment, uncertain, vibrating with adrenaline he has nowhere to put. Then he sits too, grabs his mug, drinks. The room exhales. Conversations resume. The bard finds his chord again. And just like that, the moment passes. But everyone remembers it. Everyone files it away. Because in here, near misses are still stories, and stories are currency. The woman by the fire is watching you again. She tilts her head, just slightly, toward the empty space on the bench beside her. An invitation. A question. A test. You glance at your mug, then back at her, then around the room at the faces you're starting to recognize. The farmer nods at you, like your old friends. The soldier raises his mug in your direction. Even the dice players, both of them, seem to have forgotten their near brawl and return to the comfortable rhythm of losing and losing again. You're not a stranger here anymore. Not quite. You're something in between. And that something is enough to make you stand, to pick up your mug, to cross the room through the smoke and the noise and the warmth. She watches you approach. Doesn't smile, doesn't speak, just watches with those eyes that have seen too much to be surprised by anything. You sit. The bench is warm from the fire. Her shoulder is close enough that you can feel the heat of it, or maybe that's just the hearth. She says your name. You never told her your name. But she says it, soft and certain, like she's known it all along. You open your mouth to ask how, to ask who, to ask 100 questions that suddenly feel urgent. But she shakes her head. Just once. Just enough. And you realize that in here, in this place, some questions don't have answers. Or they do, but you're not ready for them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The night stretches on. More ale appears. More stories unfold. The farmer's cow grows more legendary with each retelling. The soldier's dragon grows scales and wings and a name. The dice players keep playing, one winning, one losing, both pretending the earlier moment never happened. The hooded figure in the corner never moves, never speaks, never leaves. And the woman beside you, the one who knows your name, she talks in riddles and fragments, pieces of a life you'll never fully understand. A husband somewhere, a journey somewhere else. A reason for being here that she won't explain, and you won't ask. Then, without warning, the door crashes open. Cold air floods the room, cutting through the smoke like a blade. Everyone turns. Everyone looks. A man stands in the doorway, silhouetted against the rain, breathing hard, dripping wet, holding something in his hands that catches the firelight. Something metal. Something that might be a weapon, or might be something worse. He scans the room, face hidden in shadow, until his gaze lands on someone. Not you. Not the woman. Not the farmer, or the soldier, or the dice players. Someone else. Someone in the corner. Someone who rises slowly, deliberately, like they've been expecting this all along. The woman beside you touches your arm. Just briefly. Just enough. Her eyes say what her mouth doesn't. Stay here. Stay out of it. Stay alive. You watch as the two figures, one from the door, one from the corner, move toward each other through the frozen room. The tavern holds its breath. The fire crackles, and you realize, with a certainty that settles deep in your bones, that this night is far from over, that the story you've been part of, the story you thought you were watching from the edges, is about to become something else entirely. The woman's hand is still on your arm. The room is waiting. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you hear the tavern keeper's voice, low and calm, saying something you can't quite make out. But you know, somehow you know, that whatever happens next, you'll remember this moment. The smoke. The fire. The woman beside you. The door still open to the rain. The medieval tavern, raw and real and utterly alive, holding all of you in its crooked embrace. And the night, the long, dark, unforgettable night, just beginning.